Hello everyone. Today I'm going to do some canning of tomatoes. I want to introduce you to this recipe book. This book is my mom's book. It's very old. It's at least 60 years old, 60 or 70 years old. It doesn't have the cover on it, but I remember as a child it was red hardcover. You see, some of the pages came off at the back. You know, there's no spine here, nothing. It's, but there's a wealth of information here. And this chapter is on preserving and canning. You see it here? Preserving and canning. And right here you have canned tomatoes. So I'm going to follow this recipe to do the canning because I've been in my garden a lot. This is why I haven't been uploading videos. Look at these beautiful tomatoes. Planted tomatoes, beans, okra, peppers. This is my first harvest. I have some round tomatoes and some plum tomatoes. So if you can grow your own food and do some canning to store up for the winter, that would be a good thing. I have 2 pots on the stove. One for blanching this and the other one for boiling the bottles, the mason jars that I'm going to use to can the tomatoes. So before I scald the tomatoes in the hot water, I usually put like a little cross here at the bottom so I would be able to peel it off, so that the skin would be able to be peeled off easily. This is going to be scalded for a minute, not very long, and then the skin is going to come off very easily. So this is my boiling water. It's simmering. This is how you want the water, just simmering. I'm going to put my tomatoes in there. The skin is going to loosen up and then we are going to take it from there. So if you don't have a backyard to grow some food, which is going to save you a lot of money, I think something like tomatoes, you can grow this in your kitchen, especially if you have tomatoes that are indeterminate. Not indeterminate, determinate. Determinate means that it grows to a specific size. So you could have a variety that it wouldn't grow so tall. So if you have a patio, you can grow tomatoes in a pot, you can grow it on a fire escape. So, you could come up with creative ways. Yes, so this, I'm going to take this out, put it in a bowl, and then get to the counter and start peeling it, and then we move on to the next step. I'm going to peel the skin off, and it's hot, of course, and squeeze it a little bit to remove some of the seeds, and then I'm going to cut it in half, and the smaller ones I'm just going to pack it, because what I'm going to do, I'm not going to process this. I'm going to pack it whole like you do whole tomatoes when you buy whole tomatoes in the store. I'm just going to pack this whole and then add a little salt, and that's it. Yes, so guys, here is the pulp, the seeds, the juice without the skin. So I'm going to squeeze out the seeds, and I'm going to just have this. I'm going to put this in another bowl. This is a lot of juice here. I'm going to remove most of the seeds. And then I'm going to strain this out and add it to the bottle. See? So I'm done removing the pulp and the seeds. This is it here, and this is the tomato juice. It looks really good. I don't think I have enough for the bottle that I have, so I went outside and picked some more tomatoes. I mean, isn't that great? You just walk out your door and you get some more tomatoes. See, this is the bottle. It's been sterilized, so I'm going to remove it and start packing the bottle with the tomatoes. I already scalded these and removing them now. Going to add them to what I already have. I have the jar here that's sterilized and the cover. I'm going to start adding the tomato to the jar. See, I don't have enough. This jar could hold quite a bit of tomatoes. So I'm looking at the recipe and it says pack tomatoes in whole or cut in half, pressing down until juice fills the spaces between the tomatoes and comes up to 1/2 inch from the top of the jar. So add 1 teaspoon salt to each quart of tomatoes. Clean the outside of the jar with a damp cloth, wiping the rubber with special care. This is if you use one of those rubber things that kind of clips into place, but I'm using a regular mason jar, so there's no clip here. And partially seal the air. See page 661. Place the jars in hot water and bring to an active boil. Water should be deep enough to come 1 inch over tops of the lids. Start counting processing time from the moment when active boiling begins and boil for 45 minutes. So this has to be boiled for quite a bit. This is what I got. I think that I need to empty out a little bit of the juice because I think this, I don't know, this is about 1/2 inch. So I'm going to add the salt. Let's get the salt, and when I come back I'm going to put it in that boiling water. So what I did was I poured out some of the water, because once you add the salt, it's going to start, osmosis is going to start happening and the water is going to come up. So I poured out some of this, you know, tomato juice, and I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt to this. I'm going to get a spatula, sterilized, and I'm going to put down the side of the jar to release any bubbles, right? So you see, and I can see the bubbles coming up at the top. I'm gonna do that. I have to wipe around the lid to remove whatever saltiness from adding the salt or the juice from the tomato. So we wipe that off, put the lid. The water is boiling away. I'm going to lower the jar in here, and I don't have a deep enough pot to completely cover the jar. and it has to be standing. This is why when you're doing canning, you have to have these special pots, canning pots, but I don't. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to fill this up some more to get to the top here. This is the highest that I can get, but the jar has to be actually immersed all the way down, that it covers the top of the lid. But I don't have a deep enough pot. I guess I would have to get a canning pot, since I'm going to be doing a lot of canning. So you see the water is up to about here, right? So I'm going to add some more water to get it all the way up to almost the top of the pot. You see where the water is there? Almost to the top of the pot. And I think that should be good. I'm going to cover it because the pot can cover completely with the jar in there. It's not like the pot is not going to be completely covered. So this cover is a bit deep, so it's actually covering it. So I think that is going to be fine, because it means it's going to be steaming in there, and I think it's going to be fine, even though I don't have a deep enough pot to immerse the whole jar into the pot. Okay, so this is going to go for 45 minutes after it starts boiling. This has been boiling for 45 minutes, so this is really hot. I'm gonna remove it from the pot. Gonna let it cool. The top of it is going to it's gonna be vacuum sealed. Tomorrow I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like after the bottle has been cooled. Good morning, guys. I'm back. Sunday morning. Saturday I started this. The 7th, August 7th. Today's Sunday, August 8th. And this is the end product right here. Looks good. I can see that this is vacuum sealed. I don't know if you can see it, but I can see it, that it's vacuum sealed. So even though I don't have one of those fancy pressure canning cookers, I think if you have a large pot and maybe you don't use large bottles like this, you can do it where the water is going to cover the whole top. But I don't think it's necessary. I think once the water is as far as you can go in the pot and you cover the pot, it's going to create a lot of heat and steam because steam is super hot, and it's going to do the job. It's going to do the canning, and it's going to be vacuum sealed. So this I can store until winter, which is what I'm planning to do. And I'm hoping that as my tomato plants bear more and more fruit, I'll be able to get at least, I don't know, 12 bottles of this by the end of September, because for us in New York, the frost doesn't come until around early October, maybe late September. But I know that tomatoes keep bearing and bearing fruit into September. So we're now in early August. We have all of August, and I would say all of September. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to do many jars of tomatoes. So I'll have this for winter, and if the shit hits the fan or you need some kind of ID to go into a store, you know. Anyway, thanks for watching. Love you guys. Appreciate your support, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.